First order is minutes from the regular meeting, May 2nd. Did everybody get a chance to look at them, and is there any changes necessary, or?
I only had one small change, and I think I didn't vote because I wasn't at the full meeting. You know, I abstained from.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't catch where you are.
On the minutes, just, the vote was unanimous.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just,
So one abstention.
yeah.
Yeah, it was, and Jamie wasn't here, so it would be 3-0-1.
You know, that was it.
Anything else? Take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye, 3-0. Privilege of the floor, number 1. Anything, any agenda items? You said you're going to do better this year.
I have a question. And it would be just regarding the July manifest, and I could call Trish, but if you want a question, I can ask you a question.
Yep.
Just wondering what your thoughts are, because it looks like the next meeting is August. So I just want to make sure I'm prepared for whatever you guys are.
I missed the question.
For the manifest for July. How
What are we gonna do for July?
Oh, we'll do a manifest and we call board members in to,
Yeah.
we have to have a majority of the board members come in
Okay.
to sign.
Do we have like a time frame on that, or is it still too soon to think ahead? I'm thinking about who will be in the building when, so I want to make sure that I can be accommodating for that.
Let's talk about that because we'll have to do it around vacation schedules and I don't know that off the top of my head.
There, I'll put in with a question.
Awesome, great job. Anything else? Not seeing anything. Next item is communication. Any communications? Nothing. Administrative reports, principals reports. Shannon?
Still raining out there?
Pouring.
So I just want to point out some of the things that happened in the month of May. We've had a really busy month. As you know, we started off with Teacher Appreciation Week. We've had some field trips thrown in there. A great field trip that fourth grade took to the Belknap Mill with Waterville. The kids had an amazing time. They dressed the part when they got there. They worked actual pieces of the mill, created products. The kids talked about it for like a week afterwards. It was fantastic. We've had science handicap testing for 4th and 8th grade. We've had the kindergarten registration night, or several kindergarten registration opportunities. The book fair, the spring concert, NEWA testing, muffins for moms, donuts for dads. I don't know if you got a chance to see around the school any of the masking tape murals, but we had a fantastic gallery walk. Mrs. Merrifield's middle school students did masking tape murals throughout the school, inspired by Mrs. Temperino's son, Aiden, who is just graduated from Plymouth High School. So they've done these great murals all over the school. You can see the Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat mural right there. That's one of their creations. So we had a great gallery walk. We've done a middle tier, an intermediate tier scavenger hunt, and of course we had Project Week presentation night and Project Week. If you didn't get a chance to go to that, there is just kind of the program of some of the activities and events that were going on during Project Week night. And recently, grade 5 did a Revolutionary War Walk of Fame in the cafeteria. It was fantastic. Every 5th grader became one of the famous historical figures in the Revolutionary War, and you could go up to each one and they would tell you their story. And it was just an awesome afternoon event. I think the whole school took turns going in and talking to all the kids. They just did a fantastic job, and that was Mrs. Avery's class. So that was a great event. So we've been really busy, and this is how it usually is around here. But this time of the year, it's like a sprint to the finish. Some updates, the playground equipment, they're working on setting up dates for the install this summer. The basketball court fundraiser that student council is working on, they have not raised enough money for the court this year. They did so many activities and events throughout the school. Mrs. Merrifield and Ms. King are hoping to kind of invigorate them on that fundraising effort next year. As a school, we sent teachers to innovation meetings that had to do with the NG2 grant. There were PLCs that we signed up for that had to do with personalized learning, that had to do with project-based learning. So teachers went to different events and spent days working with other groups and bringing back that information to their teammates here at school. Those were really great opportunities and excellent experiences for our staff.
If you recall, last August, we had shared that being selected to be part of the NG2 work came with a $25,000 grant. Unfortunately, we later learned that that had some stipulations that were not originally presented, and it really was money that was being funneled through Title I at the state and not a separate grant as was originally presented. And because the original activities that we had hoped to do in terms of purchasing some software components would be used through the whole school, and we are currently a targeted assistance school, we were not able to access that $25,000 grant or those funds. We are trying to see if they will let us roll that money into next year. I don't believe they are going to let us do that, to roll it into our Title I funding. So it's really money that unfortunately was given without a clear, the clear guidelines that the state really wanted to have followed. There was some change in terms of personnel. And I think that's where there was some clarity that came about how those federal funds really needed to be used. We have submitted a plan to become, as you recall, a Title I school-wide program, which just allows us to have more flexibility. So should they let us roll that money into next year's Title I funding, we would be well positioned to use that money. But I do believe that money is probably going to expire June 30th.
It is. So we are in the process. We have sent forward our application for to be a school-wide Title I school. That is being reviewed right now at the Department of Ed. I checked in with one of the Department of Ed Title I resource people, and she said she thought by this coming week we would have that application back to make any necessary adjustments or revisions to it. But she said it looked really good. We have sent out paperwork and made parent phone calls and set up students for the Summer Blast program. And we talked this week about teacher placements for the 2017-2018 school year. We have 2 interview committees going right now. Each committee, the music committee actually finished its 7th interview for a music teacher position for next year. They did those last interviews today, and the interview committee for the intermediate position has 7 interviews scheduled between Wednesday and Friday. So committees are busy trying to find great new staff members. I think the second part of those the interview process will be having those potential teachers come in and maybe do short lessons with the kids so that we can actually watch them working with the kids, so that we can make a really good choice for our teachers, new teachers. We've also planned and discussed what we're going to do with those last 3 staff days. The trainings that we are working on include Math, Epiphany, which is a software program, and Achieve 3000, which is a literacy program. So lots of things happening right now, lots of updates moving forward. And like I said, it's a sprint right now toward the end of the school year. I'm thankful to the rain actually for keeping everything kind of a little more sedate than it would normally be if it's 75 degrees and everyone's dying to be outside in the sunshine. So that's been helpful, believe it or not. Right now, this morning, the eighth graders left for their class trip to Lake George. I've checked in with the advisors 3 times today. Everyone seems to be having a great time. They're hoping that the weather breaks so that they can be outside to do the go-kart races and mini golf tomorrow, but we'll see what happens with that. Primary tier went to the Capitol Center today to see Pete the Cat. They had also planned to have a picnic outside and do a little walking tour of Concord, but ended up coming back shortly after because it was pouring. But the Pete the Cat performance apparently was awesome. We have the kindergarten celebration coming up. The end caps the end of our kindergarten year, so if you're available to come see it, it's always such a great little celebration. The kids are so cute, and the teachers do an amazing job of putting that all together. So that will be at 10 a.m. on the 15th. We have our last day of school, which is a half day. On that morning, we have an all-school morning meeting where we also do, it's hosted by the 8th graders. It's kind of their last big goodbye to everybody. And we do the awards ceremony where we give out the Thelma Sporer Award, the Steve Heath Sportsmanship Award, and the Warrior Awards for the end of the year. 8th grade graduation is that night at 7 p.m. and the teacher workshop days follow that, and the learning summaries will be sent home on the 21st. For this summer, we're looking at, obviously we've talked a little bit about this, a plan for the computer lab and the staff computers. Those leases are up, so I've been working with Mr. Brent on that. Also kind of integrating the Epiphany program with our existing software programs and student management systems. We're going to be working on plans for academic recognition for middle school students, math instruction, professional development focus, and we've talked about this and are still trying to pull this together, some kind of an AES Walk of Fame for the teachers, staff members that are retiring after spending most of their careers here. I think it's a really great thing to do something like that to kind of honor those teachers and staff members. So that's been kind of an idea that we've been working around for a little while. If we can have the time this summer to do that, it would be great to be able to pull something like that together for them. Mrs. McGettigan spent some time and made a great video that kind of gives you a little taste of what's been happening over the last month at school. So I'm going to show that to you now.
And I feel brand new, and I cannot explain, so let me show you. I feel alive, and I'm gonna let it show. Try, keep me down, I'm a full high up, but I
Thank you, Jackie. And that's it.
Thank you, Shannon. Enrollment?
So you have in your packet an enrollment report, and we are, that's mine, 167. And last year, 15-16, ended the school year at 151.
Thank you.
Do we have an idea of kindergarten numbers yet for next
So
year?
you're at,
Right now, we're at 18, 20?
I want to say 18.
18? So it's up there again.
That number was really secure in my head a couple weeks ago, but now I'm much.
And it'll change over the summer.
And we are planning on 2 sections of kindergarten. We anticipate we'll have
Okay.
a few more students.
So typically at spring enrollment time for kindergarten, we're at about 12 to 13, 15 maybe. And then we get a bunch in the summer. Now we're already higher than that.
Financial report, Trish?
Thank you. Included in your packet is a financial report through May 31st. Since the last report at our last board meeting, we have liquidated various encumbrances and have increased available monies by $7,017. At the time of the report, 95.2% of the budget had been spent or encumbered, which was a better position than the prior month. However, since the report, we had a hot water tank failure. Our deductible for this type of property damage is $1,000, and the estimated cost to replace the tank is about $6,500. That tank is on order. Whether or not it will be covered, I'm not sure at this point, but I'm hopeful it will be. If we closed the books today, we would end the year with approximately $164,000. Which does not take into consideration the cost for the roof. That was a separate item. We had estimated and promised a $30,000 fund balance for the 2017 tax rate. Further on in the agenda, we'll discuss year-end encumbrance recommendations from the Safety Committee and the Facilities Committee, and I have an updated memo for you for that. Other things that we should consider, probably at the next board meeting in August, is fund balance to put towards the roof and how much to withdraw from the ETF, and retaining some fund balance to offset the 2018 tax rate, which we can do. Our revenues have increased by $824, primarily with regards to Medicaid reimbursements. In food service, we are looking to end the year with a small fund balance. In fuel oil and electricity, we're expecting to come in both areas under budget and have adjusted those encumbrances accordingly. We have locked in next year's fuel oil cost at $1.88 with Irving. I have let the town know if they're part of our pool. That. And I have the 15-16 audit, similar to where we spoke at the SAU meeting. We have a clean audit with no findings, and we do have a combined deferred liabilities net pension deficit of about 1.7 million that we discussed in detail at the SAU meeting. I won't go into detail again unless you would like me to, but I have copies if anybody would like a copy of the 15-16 audit.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any questions for Trish on financial? Primex cap agreement,
I think
Trish?
Sandra, I think that's a question.
Did you?
Trish, how much money is in what we call the pool money? Or,
I'm not sure.
probably not right terminology, but,
The pool raise?
yeah,
The raise for the
raise.
for 17-18?
yeah.
That was a total vote of the board of, I believe, $22,000, in which we backed backwards into how much would be associated fixed costs and how much could be distributed. It was around 15,000.
And in non-public, we have some information to share.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. So Primex cap agreements?
Thank you. I met with Sally Tanner, who works at Primex, regarding our current cap, which stands for Contribution Assurance Program Agreement. Each entity within the SAU was under a different renewal time and different renewal rates. Primex is offering Ashland the opportunity to extend our current cap with reductions in our maximum exposures. The current workers' comp agreement would expire on 6/30/2018 with a 10% max increase each year. The proposed one would expire on 6/30/21 with an 8% max increase. The current property and liability agreement expires on June 30th, 2019 with a 9% max increase. The new one would expire at the same time as the workers' comp on 6/30/21 with a 7% max increase. For 17-18, currently our work comp estimated increase is 5.2% or $337, and our property and liability increase is 6.1% or $730. So I'd ask for your consideration in extending these agreements with reduction in maximum exposure caps, as well as putting them both on the same expiration time.
There's two agreements,
Yes,
and the first one moves us from the current 10% to 8%,
correct.
and the second one moves us from the current 8% to 7% exposure,
It was a current of 9 with
current of
a
9%
to 7.
to 7. So it's 2% savings on both of them,
Correct,
max.
correct.
Any questions, or take a motion to approve?
Is both of them okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Move to approve the,
Oh, you do it in one motion.
yeah, the agreements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Business of the board, we had a board member resignation and the process for appointment. Aaron?
So in your packet, you have the policies that this pertains to, 911-1.3 and 911-1.2. So it would be, the board would appoint someone to fulfill the vacancy until the next annual meeting or the voting for the next school board member.
So we should advertise the position and see who we can get for volunteers. And take a look at the list, probably our next meeting is August.
Correct.
And maybe pick somebody in August. I think they could start that night if we can get Patsy Tucker to swear in. Maybe if we're gonna be able to pick somebody that night, maybe ask Patsy if she can come and swear him in, and we could seat him that night, him or her. If not, best case scenario, they could start in September. Or start as soon as Patsy's sworn in. They may, if we pick somebody that night and Patsy can't make it, they can at least be here. And then she can swear him in, and then they can start getting their big book, all the policies and all that kind of fun stuff. So put it on the website, post it in the town office. Should we put it in the newspaper?
Yeah.
David, can you put it in the towns,
Sure.
please?
The town hall.
Yeah.
So when was this resignation?
Was last Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
It was last
Yeah.
Wednesday.
It could probably be announced too at the Board of Select meeting,
Yep.
you know, on, well, they had it last night, but,
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Next one. Yep. I'll ask Charlie if he can put it on there.
Sure.
Yep.
And would you like to have people interested contact me and then I can refer it to?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that a plan for everybody?
How was that contact? I mean,
They can either mail it to the SAU, a letter to the SAU, they can email me, or they can call.
Or they could drop it off here and we'll forward it. And the school will forward it to the SAU.
so what are those addresses?
So what I can do is, why don't I write up an ad tomorrow or some
Okay.
notice and I'll send it to you.
No, you have some over here.
You can put it on TV though.
Oh, so,
Yeah. So what's the address?
So 103 Main Street, Meredith, New Hampshire, 03253. To memorize my phone number.
David's not gonna put it in an ad, he's gonna put it in the actual
Okay, and
towns.
I'll get you the information.
Because we don't want to pay for an ad. We want it on free. Thank you, David. All set on that. Next thing is business of superintendent general operating expenses. Trish?
in your packet, you have manifest 2024. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions? Either manifest? Take a motion to approve. Deborah?
Second.
Renee? Any other questions? All in favor? You voting, Sandra?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was,
4-0.
could tell I just came from work. Yes.
B is proposed job description and title change.
So you have in your packet attachment 8. We are just proposing a title change to what has been known as the lead custodian to maintenance manager. And we have worked to really try to better articulate the responsibilities that fall under that individual. And you also have a draft ad to fill that vacancy, provided that you support the change in title and the change in the job description. And I think one recommendation I heard is also to include in the ad to also be able to, a successful criminal background check.
Yeah, I read through it and I think it definitely better defines what that position actually does. Anybody have any questions or? Need a motion to approve the change? Renee, second? Deborah? Any other questions or comments on it? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you. C, Facilities Committee and Safety Committee, update recommendations. Trish?
Thank you. In your packet, I believe you had attachment 9 was a memorandum from me regarding recommendations that came from the Safety Committee and the Facilities Committee that met on May 4th. And I would like to hand out at this time an updated memo. We were in a bit of a time crunch and I had not received a hard number on the gym dampers that we had discussed in the Facilities Committee. That information came to us on Friday from Mr. Ham, and I had Mr. Wald review it. I have Mr. Wald here with us tonight to help review and answer any questions on any of these cost estimates. But I can go through some of them. From the Safety Committee, some of the, as you may or may not know, we had a safety assessment from Homeland Security, Emergency Management Department at the state. Scott Nichols came and reviewed our buildings and what we have done to date and made some recommendations. The Safety Committee felt pretty strongly that the classroom door locks was their first priority, and then other priorities were redoing the main entrance where the children enter in the morning, making that more secure, as well as the playground entrance, making that more secure, less glass. So we have still a safety encumbrance of $12,296. That came from when we had received the grant, we had to raise matching funds, so we've been holding that in order to get these priorities from the safety committee. So with the encumbrance that we have, the safety committee and I are asking for $37,154 from year-end funds in order to accomplish those things. And if you have any questions regarding the work that would be done on those entrances or more information on the door locks, Mr. Wald is here to answer those questions.
Anybody have any questions?
So what would the door locks be changed to? Would it be like a magnetized?
The door locks themselves would be a push button style. It'd be
Okay.
on the jam side, so that you'd push a button and just close the door and it would lock.
Okay.
Classroom doors.
Classroom doors.
Right, on the
26
classroom
doors.
door. Because right now it's keys, right?
Yes, it's
It's
keys
on
from
the
the
outside.
outside. So in
Okay.
an emergency situation,
They have to go outside into the hallway to
right,
lock
to
the
lock the
door.
doors. Not an ideal situation.
No, not at all. And then the two entrances would just be removing glass and putting in different doors, or is there?
It would, go ahead, Chris.
The entryways right now, they're the outside entrance at the main entrance, it's all glass. So a lot of that glass down on the lower sides would go away. It would be aluminum like the over entrance.
The kindergarten?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the glass would be double insulated. A lot of your glass here is right now single pane. It's just plate glass, so it has no insulation value. And the outside pane would also be laminated, so that it can't be broken out with a rock. I mean, it would be very, like like the windshield
Like
of your
safety,
car.
yeah.
So it'd be very difficult. At the main entrance, it would be both the outside entrance and the inside entrance. They're both steel, they're both in fair shape, so they really need to be replaced. The hinges are sagging, all of the work was quoted. Granite State was, significantly lower than anyone else, and I've worked with those guys before, they're good. Down at the playground entrance, it would only be the outside doors
Right.
and windows again, and then you've got those two side lights, the side windows, side lights, side windows. Those would also be done in aluminum.
Okay.
And again, the lower panes would all be aluminum insulated glass, and then double insulated laminated glass.
Okay.
In some of the pricing to do the entryways, we did carry an allowance to do flooring, drywall, painting, things like that, because if you're gonna do the entryways, we might as well dress it up
Right.
and fix it.
And the flooring in those
Yeah.
entryways is in dire need of repair and replacement.
Plus, some of what they're gonna replace down along the bottom, because it's steel, it's rusting.
Yes.
You know, you're starting to get water migration in, and that's part of the flooring problem,
Right.
especially down at that end. There's also the insulation value. It's so cold down at that end that we had to put a heater in that little area. So we're hoping to get some value, lose less heat, have some energy savings down at that end as well.
Yeah, because it would both be aesthetically more pleasing, it'll certainly be more efficient, and from a safety standpoint, single pane plate glass windows, easy to go through, where laminated glass, double insulated is much more difficult.
Yeah, it's not, it's not bulletproof glass, but it
Right.
definitely slows down access. It gives us response time, and that's what we're looking for.
And at the same time, you're not losing light or as much light, because you
Yeah.
wouldn't want it to
On
be
that
like
side,
a
you're
cave.
not gonna lose a lot of light, it's not a cave, but on that side, it's mostly in the shadows anyway,
Right.
because of the way the building is and the
Yeah.
sun is.
Right.
It's really more of a safety issue, a heating issue.
Yeah.
The changes that are being made, is it consistent with what other schools have presently?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright.
In fact, I believe Mr. Nichols was pleased with what work we had done to the visitor entrance as well as the Oberwing, because if you remember, the Oberwing was all glass, that whole back wall. And glass is just very easy to get through. And so he was very happy with the work that had already been done. Is that correct, Shannon?
Yes.
I was just thinking that to spend, the amount of money today and, in a year or two, look at it as to what other schools have, would be, kind of a waste.
Right, and that's why we worked with Homeland Security and Emergency
Right.
Management. They have developed a form so you can do a self-assessment and send it to them. They review that, then they come out and do the assessment themselves. And I think they've been happy with the steps that we have taken and helped us to prioritize the next steps to be
Nice.
taken.
Mhm.
And the classroom door locks, we've talked about through the budget season,
Yeah.
and had removed it with the anticipation that
Right.
we would do it here anyways. So the two entrances are something somewhat new, but given the conditions and the safety issue that goes along with the door locks, I think this is the time to do it.
So I know we have a couple of other doors in the building. Are those in need of updates, but they're just not priorities at the moment?
Other exit doors?
Yeah, like the library door, the door to the cafeteria off of the parking lot, things like that. I'm just wondering if they're,
Those are less glass than the
yeah, the
doors we're
cafeteria one
suggesting.
is pretty much solid
Solid.
steel.
Yeah.
We probably will at some point in the future, but
But they're not priorities
They're
at this
not the
point
priority
because
at
of
this
the
point.
less glass.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And that one's got like wired mesh through it, so that's a slowdown.
It's a
issue.
slower
And it's got the
access.
mechanical, not, brace on the inside to protect the door. So it's less of a safety issue.
There's many things we can do to increase safety of the buildings.
I'm sure.
But we really needed to prioritize.
Right. Okay.
Also, the Facilities Committee has been meeting, and in your packet, I believe you have the capital improvement plan that we developed and worked together on, revised in our last meeting. So this is the first draft to come to the board. And what it is allowing us to do is to spread out throughout the next 10 years, things that we anticipate will need to be done, or maintenance that we need to do on a yearly basis, and plan for those items without having very large impact on the tax rate. So it's a planning tool, it's fluid, it can be modified, but it puts out for 10 years the things that we're thinking of doing for improvements and to our facility. Along with that, the Facilities Committee talked about priorities that need to be done. One of the first things was the lights in the gym, which we had talked about during the budget season and again cut from the budget during the process in hopes that we would have some end-of-year fund balance to address those things. We had originally thought 10,000-ish, but I'll let Mr. Waltz speak to the company that came and looked at the lights and gave their recommendations.
The company that came here, Energy Management Consultants, EMC, I've worked with this company to do a little bit of work at Interlakes, so I have had experience with them. They would take we've got 20 lights in the gym. They're metal halide, they're 400 watts each. That's how much energy each light bulb uses. They would replace them with a fourth generation LED light with a similar light value. We took light readings, so we would be, providing the same amount of light, same kind of light. LED today isn't like it was 8 or 10 years ago. It was very white light, a very blue light. It comes in very different colors now. So we can match the colors that are there. The system that they would put in would be 20 lights, and each one of their lights is 175 watts. So it's a significant savings, half the energy cost. The cost to do the job and the payback, it would take about 9 years to pay it back if you just simply look at it from an energy savings. So, and anything under 10 years I think is decent. At the same time, we did have them put in a dimmer switch situation, because I know when you folks use that facility and you have plays and other different venues down there, they try to dim it. So instead of dimming it right now, you just shut banks of lights off. This has a complete, the LED lights can be dimmed so that you can take them down to 5%, 10, 15. So it's a much nicer light situation. The lights can be hit with, I know we've got them in our multi-purpose room, they can be hit with baseballs. We do baseball practice inside. They've been hit and they're pretty impact resistant. Maintenance is another item to consider. The lights that you have down there, your maintenance department has to change those light bulbs, I would say annually, because they get about 8,000 to 10,000 hours out of a light bulb. It's pretty far up. You're getting on a ladder, you're sending a guy up there to change a bulb.
Oh, we have to set up staging.
Is that the way they do it? Okay. So no longer would you have to do that. LED lights, they have a life expectancy of, they say 20 years. You know, you do lose a little bit of light out of them, it could be 25 years. So it's another consideration. EMC, I think they're a good contractor that, and they, you know, they could do the project if called upon to do the job this year.
The other piece that the facilities committee looked at also in the gym are the dampers. The current dampers, the main one is on the roof of the building, and whenever we have wind and rain comes in from those dampers. And the ones on the side of the buildings are manual, and they're kind of impacted by the changing pressure from the one that's on the roof. So this proposal would change the location of the main damper to the end of the gym through the brick wall at the top.
Yep. Through the gable end.
Through the gable, thank you.
We would put a hole in the side of the brick. It's not just brick, it's double faced. You've got block on the inside, brick on the outside. They would put lintels in, put a motorized, put a damper, or not a, put a louver in that would have a fan, and they would be connected to both your intakes. Right now, your intake vents are just gravity. When the pressure changes, they open. When the wind blows, they probably open too. So we could get rid of that inefficiency. So we would connect them together so that when that exhaust fan goes on, those two louvers open up with a motor. They allow air in, and when when the exhaust fan shuts off, it would damper down. You know, we took our best guess and was not as successful, as you can see by the price change. But I think it's a better product, because when we had folks come out to look at it, they said, don't do it that way because it's inefficient. So
And the current roof one does on occasion leak.
Yes.
It's funny. It does leak when it has, if there's a side wind. I went down there today with the rain we're getting, and it's not. It's frustrating to me because they've been there for ever. But they do leak, and that's a wood floor. As Glenn knows.
Yes, we all are familiar with that floor.
You know,
I don't want to talk about the
I'm
floor.
sensitive to it, having had a gym problem with water.
That's what we did, we already had that problem with water.
So, yeah, certainly we'd be,
Yeah. Now, on that louver, we talked about putting the motor outside and
Yes.
pulling the air out. Is that still the same design?
that's the same design. Yep.
The idea was to put the motor outside, so if we had to use it during a concert or something, the noise of the motor is outside of the building and not inside the concert hall. But it would definitely help us reduce the 90-degree concert nights to a manageable temperature, maybe 85.
Well, and I think control wiring together using motorized dampers, certainly in the middle of the winter when you've got a gust of wind and those dampers are
or
fluttering.
blowing. 10 degrees of air inside and then having to reheat again. Yeah.
Is there a payback with this as well, as far as like energy savings
It's
or
not
anything?
such an energy, certainly there would be energy savings. I think that the bigger part of it is trying to alleviate the potential
The
of
roof
water
leak.
coming into that cupola, so to speak.
Okay.
Because we're exhaust out right now. If the exhaust is off and we get a driving rain,
Yeah. What is Primex's position on another water damage on that floor? I know what it is, but I think we need to state it, so.
That floor has been replaced twice because of water damage. And I think their position would be that if we don't do the necessary steps to protect the floor, they will not, they would be hesitant to continue to insure the gymnasium building.
The whole building, not just the floor?
Well, the floor is the largest part of that building.
Right. And what is the cost of replacing the floor if we don't have insurance? No, I know, I'm just stating it.
It's well over
Well, over
$100,000.
It's over $100,000 to put in the floor, okay.
Yeah.
Right, which we've done twice,
Which we've done
and
twice.
And Primex has covered it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that also impacts our rates.
It
You know,
would impact our
Every time we
rates.
do this, our rate goes up. So if we protect the floor and are able to maintain our stability, eventually your experience gets lower, your rate gets lower.
And we have had, since the last floor replacement, there were years where we were not offered a cap agreement because we were so
Yeah.
high. We've worked hard to try to do things in a progressive manner to improve the situation, so they have offered us a cap now, as you can see.
And we'd hate to go backwards,
Right.
you know.
The only other thing on the facilities committee is the cafeteria steam table. It's a 3-bay steam table. I learned recently no longer works. And so we did not have an opportunity to put through the budget process, and it really is something that the cafeteria needs to serve food hot. So those are the recommendations. As I stated in my financial report, after given our current estimate of fund balance less what we promised during the budget process for revenue of $30,000, that would leave us $134,000 less. This, if all of this is approved, it would be less $75,000. So it would still allow some movement for taking out less, putting some of the fund balance towards the roof and taking out less, or putting money into retainage to carry forward to offset the increase for the 2018 tax impact.
So what would the board like to do? So if we were to spend the entire $75,004, that would leave about $59,000 left. If we more or less split that and put $29,000 towards the roof and $30,000 again towards reduction of taxes.
And those two pieces you don't need to vote on tonight, just the.
Just the 75.
Just this.
Yep.
Because the fund balance could change a little bit between now and August.
Yep.
And the time horizon to complete this whole list, if it were approved, is,
Mr. Wall,
This summer, I think.
this summer is what we're.
Yes,
our aim is.
The only questionable would be the damper, whether you can get them in.
I think, because I spoke with those folks today, I think that we could get it completely done. I certainly, the windows that we, in entryways that I had them quote, they're FCO.
Yep.
They are good quality. It takes a little bit of a lead time, so if it is approved, then I would certainly have discussions with them right away.
Yep.
The entryways worry me more than the roofer.
Yep.
Those
So,
worry me.
so functionally, by the end of August,
Yes.
everything would be done
Yep.
on this list. So is there a motion to approve the recommendation of $75,004 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Sandra? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Renee? Any other discussion or conversation or questions? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank
Your
you.
support.
Thank you for the support.
I would just like to extend a sincere thank you to Ms. Timperino and Mr. Wald for taking all the conversation from the facilities committee and building, a capital improvement plan, which certainly is a fluid document because things do come up, but it does help us to really begin looking at some long-term planning. So I really want to thank them for their efforts around that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Trish. Next item is withdrawal study committee update.
So the committee has continued to meet throughout the fall, the winter, and spring. Most recently, had a meeting on May 30th. Throughout the winter and early spring, there was a review of various financial analysis that was completed to see about the financial ability to possibly join SAU 48. As a review of those economics kind of revealed that, financially that does not seem to be the most prudent direction at this time. At the last meeting, the committee did make a motion, which was passed unanimously, to recommend remaining with SAU 2, provided that there's a memorandum of understanding with SAU 48 to really kind of better articulate really many of our current practices, but to put it in a document that does allow a process to ensure that we have good coordination and collaboration with SAU 48. We did look at a draft document, and that's one that I will be working with the superintendent of SAU 48 to go through, who was very receptive back, I believe it was in March or so, that I connected with him about the idea of an MOU, and he thought that was a very positive direction. So we'll work on that over the summer. That would certainly come before the board for approval, as that's really something that's more of the board versus the withdrawal studies purview. Additionally, over the summer, we will be working on creating a report of the findings of the withdrawal study committee. We have a meeting the end of August that will have a chance for the committee to review that draft and then to think about the next steps in terms of bringing that forward to the community. So that's where things stand right now with the withdrawal study committee.
Excellent. Any questions on that? Thank you, Mary. E, permission to hire. We would need a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools to hire candidate or candidates prior to the next regular board meeting. This is something we've historically done because we don't have a meeting in July, but we need to hire positions, teachers.
I'll make that motion.
Renee?
I'll second.
Deborah? Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 5-4-0. Thank you. Policies, third and final reading. There are 3. Are there any questions or comments on any of the 3? I'll take a motion to approve policy 4134, tutor for pay, policy 5139, student health services, and policy 6179, field trips.
I have a question on 5139 as far as student health services.
Yep.
Is this hiring a full-time nurse, or is there any provision for a sub-nurse?
Which part?
Well, I don't see it in here at all for a sub-nurse for the school, unless I missed it.
So this policy is pertaining to actually hiring that person who serves in the role of the school nurse.
Is there any policy at all that we have for a nurse to sub for the full-time nurse position in the school?
I would have to look at our substitute policy. I feel like we put something in there recently, but I think it was relative to the, a board member subbing versus indicating school nurse or somebody substituting in the
And I guess that's where my question,
Okay.
comes in.
Yep.
Okay, so this does have a clause about, policy or procedures for when the school nurse is not present.
It's the part in bold, Sandra. in the third paragraph.
And I would imagine those procedures when the school nurse is not present, would include the sub.
Correct.
Well, I know there has been circumstances where the school nurse has not been present. And, but if there is a situation where the school nurse can predict in the future as to whether or not she's going on vacation or for whatever reason, I'm just wondering if there is a policy for the sub-nurse to come in. I know it does state here as far as the building, principal, but I'm just wondering about that policy as far as could a board member who is a nurse sub for the school nurse who is.
So we did include in the
didn't.
policy regarding substitutes, and I'd say maybe the substitute piece is more of a practice that we have in place, that if we have a teacher who's absent, or paraeducator, or a school nurse, that we do try to access substitutes for those positions. We did put in the policy regarding substitutes that it could be a school board member.
Okay.
That was, I think, a policy that may even be in this list.
Oh, all right.
Maybe in the first readings, I think.
Yeah, oh, it's actually attachment number 19.
Oh, I must have missed it. All right.
So still looking for a motion for the 3 policies and final reading. Renee, second. Any other questions or comments on those 3 policies? If not, all in favor? 4-0 on all 3. Second readings, policies, 1220 Advisory Committee, policy 9111.1, method of election, policy 9111.1.3, resignation. So any questions or comments on those 3 policies? If not, I'll take a motion to approve. Kevin?
Okay.
Renee? I can't write that fast, guys. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 4-0 on those 3 policies. First reading, we'll take one at a time. Policy 1331, use and possession of tobacco products banned on school facilities and grounds. Good title.
We've redone it so many times.
I think that's pared down. I'll take a motion to approve that. Renee, second.
Second.
Deborah. Any questions or comments on that? Any typos that anybody saw? No? All in favor? 4-0. Policy 1360, fundraising activities. I'll take a motion to approve. Deb. Second, Sandra. Any questions or comments on that policy? Any typos, anything you saw? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Policy 4131, support staff professional learning. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Renee, second. Sandra? Any questions, comments, or typos? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Policy 4154, substitute teachers. That's the where we made that change, Sandra, is this one. Can take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Renee, second. Deb? Any questions or comments?
I still don't see anything in here about the sub-nurse.
We
It says
didn't,
teacher, but
right,
The nurse is part of the teacher's.
teachers. She gets a teacher
bargaining
contract.
unit
Yep,
and is
I did
considered
not
a
know
teacher.
that.
yep.
Yes.
Yeah, the nurse is considered a teacher, she's under the ATA. So it falls under that same heading, that same classification. There's nothing set out separate, because it's not a staff position, it's a teacher position.
Right.
is that because of union?
It's often the case, if there is a school nurse that is part of the teachers' union, There have been situations that I've been aware of where a nurse does not have a bachelor's degree, and then there are provisions. For example, at Interlakes, we had a nurse who did not have a bachelor's degree, so it was 90% of B1, bachelor's step 1. But most nurses that schools hire are part of the teachers union. If a nurse retires, there are opportunities, if the union will agree, to contract that position out, where it is no longer part of the collective bargaining unit, but that has to be agreed to by the union. Those are the common practices that I'm aware of. Mary, maybe.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's just me. I figured you were choking, so
I appreciate that.
So the short answer is yes. it is.
Yes, yeah, I knew it was questionable,
Yep.
you know, as far as, and, you know, just say that I could sub for Ellen. I
Yep.
mean, that's where, you know, I'm really coming from.
Yeah, but it's fixed in here because it is
All right.
under the teachers, and that position falls under teachers.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments or typos? Or if not, all in favor? 4-0. Policy 9111, qualifications. Take a motion to approve.
Okay.
Yeah. Second?
Second.
Renee? Any questions, comments, or typos? All in favor? 4-0. Policy 9111.4, removal of from office. Take a motion to approve. Renee? Second? Deb?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or
Message.
bless you? All in favor? 4-0. Policies to be rescinded. Policy 5112, absentees. Need a motion to rescind policy 5112, absentees. Deb? A second? Sandra? Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Any unfinished business? Anyone? Privilege of the floor, number 2. Anything from the floor? Seeing none. Announcements. Ashland regular board meeting, Tuesday, August 1st, 2017, at 6:30 PM here in the library. Policy Review Committee will meet at 5:30. Withdrawal Study Committee meeting will be Tuesday, August 29th, 2017, 6 PM, also here in the library. Is there any need? There is a need for non-public.
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion to go into non-public. Renee? Second. Deb?